Hello, this is Chloe Blanket, and I will be presenting my comparison analysis of the top 5 bestsellers, within the One Piece set OP13 Carrying On As Will, and the Pokemon set Phantasmal Flames. I'm gonna apologize in advance. For some reason, my breathing is really weird today, so how I talk might be off. Sorry. Okay, but talking about it. Sorry, what? Choosing which cards to compare. So in this case, I'm choosing the top 5. When choosing the top 5 for each set, I paid most of my attention to sales volume, market price, and market price changes. If you've watched any of my previous presentations, it's very similar to how I calculate my top 10. So I figured out my top 5 by sorting the top 10 cards that appeared within the set on TCG Player. When sorted by best selling from the ones I collected, I ranked them all based on price point. In this case, the average price. In this case, the average between the market price on TCG Player and the ungraded price on price charting. Price change, which was in this case taken within the span of 1 month based off TCG Player, and sales volume, which I judged based off of the graph on TCG Player within, in this case, 1 month, and the recently sold on eBay. And so I ranked those all based on those traits individually, and then based off of the ranking, and then I calculated the final ranking using a point system based on their placements in each individual category to get my top 5. So in this case, because we're taking the top 10 cards, sorry, I typed that wrong. First place would get 10 points, 10th place would get 1 point, and that would apply to all of the rankings. And then based off those points, I put them into my calculator, which in this case, their final score was the amount of points they got from their price point ranking, plus the amount of points they got from their price change ranking, multiplied by 2, plus the amount of points they got from their sales volume ranking, multiplied by 4. And then from there, I sorted those and then got my top 5 ranking. I will be comparing the cards based on their rankings. The number 1 best-selling card in OP13, in this case, will be compared to the number 1 best-selling card in Phantasmal Flames, and so on. Each slide will have both cards present, as well as an explanation of why I think both cards are in their ranking within their respective set, and then I will compare the explanations and comment from there. Okay, and then, sorry, it's color-coded. One Piece, anything to do with the One Piece card in One Piece set is in blue. Anything to do with the Pokemon card and Pokemon set is in orange. Okay, our first rank ones, Monkey D. Luffy TR versus Mega Charizard XEX 125. So these two sets are very interesting, and I thought this analysis would be super interesting just going into it, because Carrying On As Will specifically has a lot of Luffy cards and is a little bit more collector focused because of just the nature of the set. This has a lot of Luffy cards, and Phantasmal Flames has a lot of Charizard cards, and as you can see here, Charizard is the single most collected Pokemon, being a fan favorite and OG starter evolution, and Luffy is the most popular card and the strongest driver of sales. So both of these sets emphasize the most collected popular characters within each of their TCGs, so I thought it'd just be interesting to do that comparison. Moving on from just that, this isn't just Charizard, which is already super popular, this is Charizard's Mega X form. Charizard's Mega X form is especially popular due to the blue and black design. It is arguably the most popular Mega Evolution form, and it's just highly favored. Moving on to rarity, this is a full art. I don't think, yeah, you will only see full arts. In this case, you will only see full arts in the top 5. In terms of Pokemon sets, all of the bestsellers basically are full arts. I think there's one time where I didn't get a full art in bestsellers, and that had a lot to do with character popularity. But full arts are rare and are always sought after. They are the targeted chase cards for collectors. If you are opening a Pokemon pack, you are looking to get a full art, essentially. And chase card also, in terms of Mega Charizard, this card was one of the chase cards when the set originally came out, because it's a Mega Charizard XEX, and also Mega Charizard in this case I think is the chase Pokemon of the set, meaning it is the Pokemon that is on the box of the set. It's just the advertised Pokemon for the set. Similarly, this is a treasure rare. Treasure rares are, for Luffy, this is a treasure rare. Treasure rares are sought after by collectors within the One Piece CCG. Treasure rare Luffy specifically is basically guaranteed to chart, since treasure rares in general are signal top tier chase cards, and Luffy is a super popular character. And then artwork, I didn't really talk about artwork here. I talked a little bit more about the Mega Evolution design and the popularity of the form, but in this case, this art style emphasizes power, momentum, and presence rather than subtlety. And yeah, just in general, both of these cards are pretty driven by character popularity, and you'll honestly see that a lot moving on from this. Another Luffy and Charizard card, surprise! So you still get the popularity version of this. In this case, we don't have a TR card, this is a parallel card. And in this case, parallel versions enhance foiling and contrast, which make them sought after by collectors, but they aren't as sought after as treasure rares because they aren't a quote-unquote super special rarity. You can talk about artwork. This is a monochromatic form. Pokemon really likes their monochrome cards. They really love pushing those. This specifically, talking about advertisement and rarity. Oh, we can talk about rarity actually. Going back to the parallel version, this is the highest rarity Charizard in the set, and that is because it is advertised as the set's chase card. So this is the pushed chased card by the franchise, and this makes it sought after by collectors and chased for hope of PSA 10 quality. Actually, this is the rarest card. When Pokemon was advertising the set to the public, they were like, hey, you want this card. This is the card you should be looking for. And so it has a higher rarity. But going back to art style, this is also a monochromatic style. This is actually a good way to tell. As far as I've researched, this is a good way to tell whether it's a Pokemon chase card, is whether or not it's in a monochromatic style. But as opposed to this artwork, this has a clean art style with a unique background. This is also... Actually, this isn't a red manga. Oh my god, I forgot. I'm going to put a note here now. You're not going to see any red manga cards within our top bestsellers for One Piece for this set, which I know you're thinking that's really weird because red mangas are probably the most chased after of this set, since this is the first set to have red manga cards in it, and they are probably the advertised chase cards. However, they aren't in bestsellers due to just overall sales volume being way too low for me to take data from, and for me to include within the bestsellers. So you're not going to see red manga cards, but the equivalent of this card would probably be the Luffy red manga card. Unfortunately, I just couldn't put it in the bestsellers because of the super low sales volume. But yeah, this might be honestly the next closest thing. It looks quite similar. But this is a clean art style with a unique background. In terms of price point, this is more affordable than other versions of this card, the red manga specifically. Also, like I said before, this set includes a lot of Luffy cards of varying versions, and so collectors will take this card just to say that they have all Luffy cards from the set. I think that's it for our second ranks. Third ranks, more Luffy, more Charizard. Talk about character popularity again, talk about form. This Mega Charizard has actually the collectability factor that the other Luffy card has, and this Luffy card has as well, because it's also a Luffy card. But similar to how the One Piece set has a lot of Luffy cards, this set has a lot of Charizard cards, or a lot of sought-after Charizard cards. And so this card will often be bought simply to complete the collection of Charizard cards within this set. So because this card is popular, and this card is popular, this card will be popular. And then the same logic applies to this Luffy card in this case. This also has a lot of the same reasons why this card is up here. This is an alternate art version though, which I think is actually quite similar to the parallel versions. But we have the character popularity for Luffy that Charizard also has. This artwork is clean. It's a clean art style that highlights character and expression, making the card appealing to Luffy fans and collectors. I didn't mention art style here, but that's because I didn't see a lot of comments when it came to the art style of this card as opposed to just overall rarity and character popularity. This also has the same price point thing. It's more affordable than other versions of this card. In this case, the red manga Luffy card, which is super sought after. And this set also, and then the collectability that we already talked about. Another Luffy card, except we're veering away from Charizard. There are other Charizard cards in this set, they just weren't within the top 5 for certain reasons, so I'm not going to be talking about them anymore. So this is our rank number 4s, and we still have Luffy with the character popularity, and this specifically is a wanted poster. So wanted posters are among the most beloved and most collectible art treatments in the entire game, often making them chase cards. Essentially what that means is if a card is a wanted poster, it's going to be up there because it's sought after by fans and collectors, and it's one of the, similar to how this is an advertised chase card, wanted posters are also advertised chase cards. But as opposed to our advertised chase card, which is up here, this one is down here, which is interesting. But yeah, Mega Sharpedo, this is a new Pokemon. This Sharpedo in general, I didn't talk about character popularity, but I'm pretty sure Sharpedo is a popular Pokemon, similar to how Absol is a popular Pokemon due to its aesthetic. This is also a Mega Evolution card. Mega Evolution cards tend to attract collectors. It's specifically also a Mega EX card. EX cards are also pretty sought after by collectors. This is a full art card as well, which is also sought after in terms of rarity. The artwork of this card is more of a factor because character popularity isn't as there as the Charizards, but the artwork of this card as well as this Pokemon appeals to the fans of cool Pokemon. Like I was talking about Pokemon popularity, this Pokemon just has a certain aesthetic that is appealing to people. And then we already talked about the Charizards, but in terms of price points, compared to the Charizard, Sharpedo is more affordable, but it's still a popular card and still a popular Pokemon, and it's still a really pretty card. And so people will buy this card because it is more affordable than the Charizards, but could be considered of equal quality. And then also playability. Playability usually, like I said, did I say it here yet? I don't know if I said it here yet. Playability is often not a factor you find within the bestsellers of Pokemon, and that's because the Pokemon TCG is very targeted towards collectors. A lot of people who buy Pokemon cards and sell them do not know how to play the game, as opposed to One Piece, where One Piece cards players still make a large part of the TCG fan base. And so because of that, playability is a factor that is often counted when the bestsellers. Playability is often a factor of what determines what the bestsellers are within a set. You'll notice I actually think in here we don't get playability within our top 5, and that's because of the nature of the set. This nature of the set is very targeted towards, like, I don't want to say targeted towards collectors, but it has a lot of factors that attract collectors a lot more than it does players, as you can tell by the 4 Luffy cards within our top 5. But yeah, but in this case we do have playability on the Pokemon side and not on the One Piece side, which is very interesting. But this is a card that is or was popular in competitive play, I think both within the card game and within VGC, which is the video game version, which is video game competitive play. But yeah, I'm trying to compare these two cards. It's very interesting because Sharpedo isn't the most popular Pokemon, but it is above other Charizards, and I think that has a lot to do with the rarity and the artwork, and also the fact that it's a mega card. But Luffy is up here because it's a wanted poster card. Yeah. Oh, we're out of Luffy's. This is a Sabo 120 Parallel versus Mega Lopunny EX 128. We'll talk about Mega Lopunny first, because anyone who knows Pokemon probably knows why it's up here. Lopunny has a large dedicated fan base as a Pokemon. It's a very popular character for reasons, and its Mega Evolution also in general tends to be popular because of its design, as well as just the overall popularity of Lopunny. And although this isn't a new Mega Evolution, Mega Evolutions in general have been given more attention with the release of Legends ZA, which is why you'll notice all of these are Mega versions of their Pokemon. And this is also another full art, which is sought after by collectors. But yeah, in contrast, Sabo, another large contrast I realized between what makes certain Pokemon popular as opposed to what makes certain characters popular within One Piece, is media relevance, because Charizard is probably maybe an exception. Charizard and Pikachu are the exceptions of, like, oh, they're up here largely because of media relevance and the legendaries and mascots. But a lot of fans' favorite Pokemons aren't driven by the media, they're a lot more driven by the video game, as opposed to One Piece fans, which their favorite characters are largely driven by the media. And I just thought that was interesting to point out. But Sabo is up here because his character popularity is very much driven by media relevance. So Sabo is tied to Ace within the anime and the manga, which makes him popular by association. And yeah, sorry. Also rarity, we talked about full art for Mega Lopunny. In this case, this is a parallel. Parallel foiling is appealing and be considered higher quality. Parallels are also sought after. Parallels are sought after like all arts are sought after among collectors. They're not as sought after as like wanted posters or TRs, but they're still sought after. Artwork, it's simple but detailed in the art style with unique background and simple color palettes. In collectability, you'll notice this card looks very similar to this card, and I think we talked about this with another set, but because this card matches the artwork of other parallel cards, it is therefore sought after, simply to say that, hey, I have all the parallel cards, look, they look pretty, they all match. I don't know, these are two pretty different cards in the same ranking. Yeah, I think that's it for my analysis for OP13 and whoa, it's not Phantasmal Flames. No, it is Phantasmal Flames, sorry. I feel like I lagged out in the middle of this presentation. But as to what we're talking about, this comparison is very interesting because this is the One Piece set where their bestsellers aren't that driven by playability. They're very much more driven by collectability and character popularity, which is usually what Pokemon is more driven by. But as you can see here, we actually have a note about playability for one of the cards. This one's just very interesting because I think out of all the sets that you could compare between One Piece and Pokemon, these would be quote-unquote the most similar in traits, just because of the nature of this One Piece set. In this case, character popularity is a big driver. We talked about rarity. Rarity is very big for Pokemon. As you can see, the push card for Pokemon is very high up here, which technically the push card for this One Piece set would be the red mangas, but wanted posters are all the way up there. But the push card for this one, the closest to a push card that we have in our ranking in this one is at ranking 4. So that's very interesting to note. I already talked about character popularity, talked about the difference within media relevance when it comes to the popularity of certain Pokemon as opposed to the popularity of One Piece characters for the anime and the manga versus the video game. I think that's it for this analysis. Thank you.